Hi everyone. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about one of the leading causes responsible for climate change, air pollution. According to Verona's Social Health Committee, air pollution means any modification of the atmospheric air due to the introduction into it of one or more harmful and dangerous substances that constitute a danger to human health and to the quality of the environment. By how we are used to seeing the contemporary world, it's pretty simple to imagine the considerable amount of pollution that goes straight into the air every day. But where exactly the air pollution come from? Due to the great natural power and biodiversity of the planet, pollutants have always been present in the atmosphere. Volcanic eruption, wind-blown dust, sea salt spray, and emission of volatile organic compounds from plants are all examples of natural emission sources. However, the majority of the most dangerous pollutants responsible for the contamination of the air come from human activities. The National Park Service has identified four main sources: mobile sources such as cars, buses, planes, trucks, and trains; stationary sources such as power plants, oil refineries, industrial facilities and factories; area sources such as agricultural areas, cities, and wood-burning fireplace; and in conclusion, as I said before, natural sources. There is one more cause responsible for the majority of greenhouse gas emission that has been hidden for too long from the public opinion: animal agriculture. A report published in 2006 by the United Nations stated that raising livestock produces more greenhouse gases than the emission of the entire transportation sector, 18% of annual global greenhouse gas emission. While in 2009, the World Watch Institute, taking into account other relevant factors, came to the conclusion that animal agriculture produced the 51% of global emission. The reasons behind this statement are pretty simple to understand. In fact, it has been proven that methane, which is the gas produced by livestock, is 25 to 100 times more destructive than CO2 and has 86 times the global warming power. Air pollution negatively affects the quality of our lives and the surrounding environment as well. The Natural Resource Defense Council has categorized all the pollutants inside four different categories: smog and soot, hazardous air pollutants, greenhouse gases, and pollen and mold. Greenhouse gases are primarily composed of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and hydrofluorocarbons. Greenhouse gases lead to higher temperatures and all the negative hallmarks of climate change: melting ice and rising seas, extreme weather, more acid oceans, higher deaths, and wildlife extinction rates. In addition, greenhouse gases are also responsible for the ozone hole, which allows ultraviolet radiation passing through the atmosphere, damaging humans' health and reducing agricultural productivity. Smog and soot occur when emissions from combusting fossil fuels react with sunlight. In some circumstances, these pollutants reduce the distance and clarity of what we see by 70%, and they can also lead to physical damages such as eye irritation, respiratory distress, and asthma attacks. Hazardous air pollutants are the most dangerous for humans' health. Mercury, lead, dioxins, benzene can all cause eye, skin, and lung irritation. Moreover, dioxins can harm the immune, nervous, and endocrine systems, as well as reproductive functions. Last but not least, pollen and mold are less connected to humans' influence, but they still contribute to the deterioration of the quality of life. Powered by the influence of climate change, pollen and mold can negatively affect anyone, causing asthma attacks or an allergenic response. Another big problem that is jeopardizing the health of several people is the use of pesticides. In fact, infant and prenatal exposure to pesticides leads to significant mental and developmental delays. while other studies link pesticide exposure to autism, infertility, neurological disorders, cancers, and birth defects. For these reasons, it's important to consume just whole, fresh, raw, and organic foods, which are cultivated naturally and without the use of chemicals. Due to the extreme danger of this environmental problem, governments and organizations from all over the world are establishing new policies and measures to limit the expansion of the issue. Two good examples are the World Health Organization and the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. The World Health Organization, for example, is working with several countries to monitor air pollution and improve air quality. To meet the state's environmental objective, the 68th World Health Assembly has drafted 40 points with specific guidelines that states members are committed to follow. Some of these goals include redouble the efforts to identify, address, and prevent the health impacts of air pollution, encourage and promote measures that will lead to meaningful progress in reducing levels of indoor air pollution, and strengthen international cooperation to address health impacts of air pollution. Another international organization that is proactively working to reduce the emission of pollutants in the air is the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. The institution, which is a voluntary partnership of governments, civil organizations, and businesses, helps partners and stakeholders create policies and practices that will deliver a reduction in the short-lived climate pollutants, which can be summarized in black carbon soot, diesel engines, methane emissions, and other powerful greenhouse gases like hydrofluorocarbons or HFCs. Since air pollution is an environmental issue that is affecting the entire world, I decided to dig deeper into the atmospheric condition of my native town here in Italy. Thanks to the help of Mauro Rossi, manager of the Verona's Air Observatory, I was able to gather important information about the Verona's air quality and the measures adopted by the government aim to contain and limit the damages caused by the atmospheric pollution. Mauro has been in charge of the Air Observatory since 2007. Through several years of detection, the observatory has drafted a list of the most dangerous pollutants registered in the city. The main sources of emission are domestic heating, like more or less 50%, vehicular traffic, 20%, and agriculture, 13%. The most critical pollutants are the fine particle PM10 and PM2.5, benzopyrene, nitrogen dioxide, and ozone. Since the 90s, a series of national laws and measures have laid the foundation for the constant control of air quality. In 2010, the national government set the quality standards that must be followed by regional and local governments. Moreover, the region of Veneto, where Verona is located, in 2014 has established the regional plan for the protection and conservation of the atmosphere, in which are included two distinct entities that operate respectively at the regional and local level: the Committee of Monitoring and Surveillance and the Zonal Technical Tables. In order to contain emission of pollutants in the atmosphere, the Verona's government, along with the Air Observatory, directed by Rossi, has developed 8 proposals aiming to enhance the living condition of the city. The first one is energy saving, so reduce air pollution and home heating caused by adopting new building technologies. The second one is geothermal sources, so exploiting alternative sources to decrease the use of fossil fuel. Vehicles, so extend the use of natural gas vehicles, public and private. Traffic attractors, so locate schools, hospitals, and other public facilities in a suburban area, far away from the chaos and traffic of the downtown. Urban parks create two parks to mitigate the thermal bubble of the city and offer a pedestrian and cycling route from the periphery to the center. Number six, peripheral neighborhood, so creation of a suburban neighborhood to organize with the population. Seventh, the use of bicycles, so promote the use of bicycles because it is essential to decrease vehicular traffic and pollution. And last, number eight, public transport systems, so activate an effective public transport network. So thanks to this research paper, I've been able to learn more about air pollution and all the negative consequences related to it. At the end of the research, I came to the conclusion that through our daily actions, we are all responsible for the deterioration of the atmosphere. Personally, in order to reduce the emissions into the atmosphere, I would act on three main fronts. First, I would start by food and agriculture industry. As I mentioned at the beginning of the paper, raising raising livestock produces more greenhouse gases than the emission of the entire transportation sector. This means that if we adopted a vegan diet, we would be able to eliminate a big portion of all the emissions responsible for climate change. In addition, adopting a plant-based diet is not just the right choice for the environment, but also for humans' health as well. Secondly, I would encourage people to reduce the emission coming from transport. So this result can be achieved by using more public transport, choosing electric vehicles, promoting the use of bicycle, and so on. Third, last but not least, a big portion of the entire CO2 emitted into the air comes from the combustion of fossil fuels such as oil, methane, coal, etc. These non-renewable resources are extremely powerful, but they create environmental conditions that can be sustained forever. On the other hand, renewable resources have the ability to generate a good amount of energy just using the power of nature. If we all adopted a new and sustainable lifestyles based on health and meaningful principles, the quality of the air would exponentially increase.